This is one of those videos where you're either going to have the reaction of, oh shit, why is this guy telling me this? He's wasting my time, such basic ass advice. Or you're going to be the person who's like, oh shit, like this I really can apply. You're going to have the humility and the introspection to be like, yeah, this is basic advice, but I'm not doing it. And although it sounds very basic and very easy to do, that's the exact reason why I need to do it, because it's extremely high ROI. It will get me a lot in life without having me fucking sacrifice my day and do these cringe habits and buy these gadgets off of Amazon and this kind of shit. So I'm going to be telling you very, very basic things, very, very basic steps to do, but yet you're going to get a lot out of it if you have just the basic amount of humility to actually implement them. So what we're going to talk about is how your brain is like, we call it a supercomputer for a very good reason, because it is. You have so many thoughts every single day, and all of those thoughts are somewhat valuable. You know, if this is your whole entire mind, this little fragment of it is the conscious mind here, like the CM, sorry. That's not sentiment, that's conscious mind. And this whole thing, this literally the rest of the fucking blob, is the subconscious mind. And the thing is, as you can see, the subconscious mind makes up for most of your mind. It literally drives every behavior that you have almost. And the conscious mind, the very few thoughts that you have access to, is this tiny fragment. But the problem is, even though the conscious mind is here, and although it is small and is starting at a severe disadvantage, we still fill it up with a bunch of junk. And I'm not here to fucking bash you, I'm just going to tell you how it is, right? Instagram, you're looking at Twitter, you're looking at, I don't know, random fucking people on the subway. You're doing whatever the fuck to blind yourself from the actual you. You're looking at external things and you're like, holy shit, the new model that I'm following posted, wow, so sexy. And then you're like, oh, Cristiano Ronaldo scored a goal. He's the GOAT. I wonder when he's going to get 1,000 goals. Then you're looking at the guy on the subway and then he's like, why is he wearing a red jacket? Such an awful fashion sense. And you're thinking these thoughts, but the thing is, none of these thoughts are actually useful. None of these thoughts are valuable. They are all coming from external stuff. You're always thinking about different stuff, different people, and not yourself. And that's exactly what starts to happen once you kind of disassociate from these external stimulus. Now, I'm not saying you need to entirely sit under a fucking tree and pray until you're enlightened, because that's not entirely realistic, at least not in my opinion, for the modern man. But I'm asking you to just have a bit more time in your mind when you actually think about this stuff that's down here, because this is exactly what happens when the default mode network activates. And although you're kind of thinking like I'm talking gibberish here and talking Chinese because you don't understand what this is, you actually experience this multiple times a day. Even if you still do this kind of stuff, fill your mind up with external junk, you still experience this of actually like turning inwards and actually having these valuable thoughts that are actually of you, and you're thinking about your own life, your conversations, your connections with people, your ideas and your thoughts and your values. You still think these, and I'm going to tell you how. You've heard of the concept of shower thoughts. Shower thoughts are pretty much the thoughts that you have in the shower when you don't really have any external stimulus. You don't even have your phone with you. Your smartphone is outside. I bloody hope so, because you're kind of a degenerate if you have like your waterproof phone in the shower. I digress. Then you have some time when you're actually not doing stuff. You know, all you're doing is you have this motion that you're putting fucking soap on your body and washing it off, but you've already done it so many times that it's kind of automatic for you. And you know, it's the exact same thing when you're going to bed. You have this small, about 10-minute period of time when you're really only thinking about your own stuff. You're not really thinking about external stuff. Maybe you're thinking about what conversation you had, what conversation you would change, what kind of thing you're going to do tomorrow. These are actually you. These are actually your own things, and the more time you have basically thinking about your own life, the more you will make better decisions, the more you will know yourself, and the knowledge of yourself is probably the most important knowledge one can possibly have. But I digress, we're getting a bit too deep into fucking shadow work and psychology. That's not what this video is about. This video is about actually having really good ideas, which is, well, first of all, this is how you do it, but secondly, how do you keep those ideas? How do you enable autosave? If you can actually put yourself into these kind of situations, you will gain a lot. You will have more of these ideas, but honestly, like, I'm not going to call you fucking retarded. You already have these ideas. You already have these kind of, as we said, before you go to bed, when you're going in the shower, you already have these kind of thoughts, but you also have them like randomly when you're in the middle of a walk. You kind of have this moment where you're not really like paying attention. You know how to fucking walk. There's no pedestrians that you have to pay attention to. There's no, I don't know, traffic lights you have to pay attention to, and you kind of think your own thoughts for once. And we don't have too many minutes nowadays in this modern world to be like that, but it is really nice, the few minutes that we do have, because those ideas can be really, really useful. And we've heard these kind of anecdotes and stories before where the billionaire has the fucking business-changing idea when they are in the middle of a walk, when they're bored, when they have a newborn baby which they have to take care of, and they have a bunch of boring activities in their life now, all of a sudden. These things are incredibly useful for us because we're not thinking about other people's shit. How do you actually save these ideas? It's the simplest thing in the world. I'm not going to tell you anything extra. I'm just going to hope that you're going to stop lying to yourself from now on. All I hope to do with this video is to actually hijack this neural network of yours, which says, oh, I have this nice idea, I'll remember it. Oh, it doesn't matter. You keep telling these things to yourself, and you say this multiple times a day, but you don't even fucking notice it anymore. It's second nature like that. So what we want to do is literally just open notes. This is like a scuffed end. Notes. The easiest thing you can open is the one that you should. If you think you should open Notion, if you're already a pro at it, sure, do that. But the thing is, I just use Apple Notes because that's the easiest thing that I can open, and I have a very, very well-organized second brain. I have a list of things that I need to buy, and you can do it on PC, by the way. You can just open a TXT app. I have a list of things I need to buy. I have a grocery list. These are two different things, by the way. When you need to buy things, I think of these random things that I'm thinking about. Like, for example, I need new sheets because I don't have that many. I need new socks because I'm starting to outgrow them. I need an ice pack kind of thing. You know, the things that you put the water in and you put it in the freezer and it turns into ice cubes. Because I had we were trying to make cocktails a few months ago and I didn't have it. And next time when we're trying to make cocktails, it's going to be a problem if I don't have it. And I have like 10 things written down as random ass things that, you know, aren't that important. But if I was going to make an order from Amazon, or if I was going to go into one of these like big stores, they're kind of nice things to have. And, you know, I also have an order for groceries. These are the average things that I need to have. You know, when we run out of eggs, I write this up and shit like this. I have a RAM list. This is really, really interesting. RAM list is usually what I consider to be like tasks that are in the region beta, which basically means, you know, there's this area, if you were to score a thing on a scale of 1 to 10, that slots about 3 to 5, like here, like this area here, which is between like a 3 to 5. Let's say this is urgency. 10 is like you need to do it right fucking now, and 1 is it doesn't really matter that much. Things that are like between 3 to 5 are bad, but not bad enough. These are the kind of things that, yeah, I should go to the dentist. Like, I should get my checkup. There's nothing like acutely wrong with it. I'm not in much pain, but I noticed that maybe my teeth hygiene is getting a bit worse. Or it could be buying something random, like the buy list kind of plays into this. Or it could be a conversation that I've been having this recurring dream or this recurring thought in my mind that I should talk to this person because we have unfinished business. But it isn't that important. Like, we can both live our lives without having this conversation. These are the things that you kind of need to do, but they're not that urgent, if we're being honest with ourselves. On the urgency scale, they're not too high, but they're not too low either, to the point where we can actually just forget them. So if you have any of these RAM tasks, you need to write them down. And you need to slot yourself like maybe once a year, like a 2-week period when you just prioritize this over everything else. You know, I had in my previous RAM thing, I had making SOPs for my business. I was like, yeah, when we get new employees, I'll just teach them manually. But it was so much fucking easier that I had SOPs that I actually wrote down the procedures that I was doing, because once you have everything written down, it's so much easier to train your employees. And the next thing is that I wrote down was like closing a bank account. I had a bank account my mum opened for me when I was like 16, and I hadn't closed it since. And every single month I was being billed a few dollars for it, for leaving it open. And it could be these kind of things that aren't like that painful right now, but you know if you did it, you would be living a much better life. And if you could just have a list of actually doing these things, it's really useful. It's really useful. And other things you could have is like literally just ideas. Maybe an idea for a business, maybe an idea for a song if you're an artist, maybe an idea, whatever it may be. Literally, the more lists you have, the more organized your second brain is, the better you will have your life, pretty much, because you are getting these ideas. And don't fucking like joke to me. You are getting these ideas. You're just forgetting them. You're telling yourself that I remember, but you're going against your own biology, because your prefrontal cortex literally cannot remember. Like, you can only remember in your conscious mind that something you're going to make a decision with like 30, 40 seconds. If you're like remembering something for more than 30 seconds, it's because you're actively engaging in it. If you have this fleeting thought while you're going to the toilet and you're like, yeah, I should message that person, you already forgot. Like, by the way, by the time you get back to your task at hand, you've already forgotten. It's not going to change, and unless you write it down, it's never going to change. So once you understand that writing down your notes literally takes 2 seconds, you're going to do it. You're going to start doing it, and the way you do it is, well, first of all, make sure it does take 2 seconds. First of all, make sure the Notes app is like on your home screen. Make sure it's not hard to access. And every single time, just be like, sorry, I'm just going to write something in your notes, even mid-conversation. Like, I don't really get my phone out when I'm in mid-conversation with someone. I don't like to be disrespectful. However, if I get this like light bulb moment, if I get like an idea for a video, if I get an idea of something I need to buy, if I get an idea for an event I need to organize or something, whatever it may be, I always say, sorry, let me just write this down really quick. You know, people already fucking answer calls when they're in conversations. They already send text messages. That a lot of people are quite disrespectful. That, at least in my opinion, that's like a bit disrespectful. If I write something down in my notes, it's not going to be the end of the fucking world. If I just take 10 seconds to write something in my notes, which could like potentially change my life, I'm going to do it. And I think that's a level of selfishness we all need to have. So the more lists you can have, the better, realistically. Because I have multiple lists. I have ideas for songs I want to make in a few years' time. I have kind of like a season of life manifesto where I write down what kind of life I want to make for myself a few years from now when I end this season of life. And I have like a lot of things, because all of these are incredibly important. And if you let your brain lose all of these ideas which you're naturally getting, these are the most important ideas. The ideas isn't like, oh, I want to check out how many goals Rasmus Højlund has this season because I want to slander him on Twitter. Like, cool. What, is that going to fucking affect your life? No, it's not. So the very few thoughts that you actually get that are about yourself and they could literally improve your life, don't lose them. We've already talked about how to make more of them, so just it would be nice also, for the love of God, if you took a bit more time to decompress and to actually unwind and make sure that you're not overwhelmed and get more ideas about yourself. But the few ideas that you do get, please do make sure that they don't leak.